Welcome everyone to the Temple Owls Dynasty on College Football 25. So happy to be able to say those words finally. It's been a long time coming since a college football game has been out, and we're finally blessed with College Football 25. I've been playing it for a few weeks now, and it is honestly fantastic. I've been loving it. So hope you guys are enjoying it too, and hope you guys will enjoy this series with Temple. I wanted to pick a low tier team for my first dynasty, and that's why I went with Temple. I also played with Temple in one of the older games, like NCAA 13 or 14. I can't remember which one, but playing with them was a lot of fun, and just building up the college, building up your recruiting classes and things like that it was a blast. So I'm glad to be able to pick Temple again and roll with them in the American Conference. So looking at the conference, there's not a ton of competition, although Temple is definitely not a good team. They're 1.5 stars and just scraping by at high 70s. Looking at some of the other teams in the conference, we've got Memphis. Memphis is probably the best team in the conference. Rating-wise, I believe they are for sure. Touching 83 overall there. Looking at some of the other teams, we've got North Texas in the 80s and FAU, Florida Atlantic in the 80s. As well as the UTSA Roadrunners actually are pretty solid, and then USF slightly better than us. So in terms of ratings, I would say we're towards the middle. You know, Army is a 74, Rice 78. I mean, right around the middle. So I think we'll probably have an okay time in conference play, but games versus like Memphis and Tulane, maybe UTSA, might be a little bit tougher. We'll have our easy games as well, but I think overall, we should have an easy to mid time in conference. One of the things I want to do in this series too is set up some, maybe not impossible games. Like we probably won't play Georgia, but I'd like to set up some good non-conference games versus maybe like the 25 to 20 range ranked teams, or they don't even have to be ranked, but just better teams to kind of test our players and see what we can get out of them. So we're going to roll with Temple here. I'm going to just pick Willie Franklin, the current head coach. He's a talent developer level 27. I could create one, but I'm just going to roll with him for now. And looking at the history here of Temple, I don't know if in 2004 is when they started out. I'd have to look into that, but a rough couple of first years there for Temple if that is the case. Just 3 wins in their first 3 seasons. Yikes. They did have some good success there in the late 2000s into the 2010s. 8 wins and 9 wins. It looks like a bowl game win there. And then dropped off a little bit and then picked it back up again. They had an American Conference win actually there in 2016. 2 10-win seasons in a row, which is pretty impressive. And then a couple other seasons in a row, not to be scoffed at, but then followed by the misery of COVID season 1 and 6, and then 3 and 9 seasons in a row. Not good. So our goal here, we have a 4-year contract. Our goal is to get back to the mid to late 2000s success, or even the late 2000s success there. I don't think we're going to be able to do it year 1 by any means. You know, we're a 1.5 star team, so we're going to have to start recruiting and building up our recruiting skills, because we're not going to be able to get those high star recruits, but we'll do the best we can. And we'll take a look at the roster later on, but I did take a glance at it, and there's quite a few underclassmen, or at least not seniors, in starting positions. So I'm hoping we can build up some of those guys. They don't transfer, of course, and we can maybe year 2 have a good shot at winning the conference, or at least exceeding what we have going on here. We can talk about expectations. Well, I guess we can talk about it now and maybe touch on it later as well. But I think I would like to be at least 500 in conference games. I think that's what I'm going to aim for. Like I said, we're going to probably pick some tough non-conference games, so it may end up being less than a 500 record, but I guess we'll have to look at our schedule and see. So let's go ahead with Willie Franklin. One thing I want to talk about right away actually is settings. Just talk about that quick in case you were curious. I am playing on All-American. I envision myself bumping this up to Heisman at some point, but I haven't played a college football game in a while, and I I know if I play on Heisman, I'll be throwing a million interceptions. So we're gonna stick with All American. I should say I want this series to be as realistic while still being fun as possible. So if I start, blowing out SEC teams with Temple with a 1-star recruiting class, being 10 overall points lower than them, then I'll probably have to bump it up. But I think we'll be good here on All American for now. I have it set to 7 minutes, and I have the accelerated clock on going down to 20 seconds. Again, this is sort of just feeling out how to make the scoring realistic. I don't want games to be like 95 to 70, but I also don't want every game to be 14 to 10. So we're going to see how this goes. If I feel the need to adjust it, or if you guys think I need to adjust it, let me know, and we can do that for sure. Everything else is pretty straightforward. I haven't touched any sliders at all. I haven't touched XP sliders, haven't touched gameplay sliders. The only thing I can think of that may need adjusting at some point off the bat after my first 10-20 hours playing this game is the penalty for roughing the kicker, which looks like you can only turn it on or off. So it seems to have happened quite a few times already. So I don't know. I mean, we're going to leave it on for sure. We're not going to turn it off. So I thought there would maybe be a slider, but I guess not. All right, so let's take a look at your Temple Owls. The first glance at this roster, I was a little bit shocked to see just 280 overall players. We have Wisdom Quarshi. I'm just going to say forgive me for all pronunciations off the bat. I'm going to do the best I can. But we have 2 seniors at the top. Wisdom Quarshi, who is an 82 overall right guard, senior, and Dante Wright, our number 1 receiver, senior as well, and he's 80 overall with 92 speed, which is pretty good to see, 93 acceleration. So somebody on the outside that can give us a little bit of burst, which is nice. One thing I do want to mention is Temple has very few seniors, at least from what I can tell. I have another save going on, not filming it, but with Colorado State, and they have like 20-something seniors. So 12 feels very low, but maybe that's normal. I don't know. It seems low. Regardless, though, I think we do have quite a few people in like the 70s, mid 70s. Like look at this, 74, 75, 76, a lot of mid 70s. So, and I think a lot of them are sophomores and juniors that we can build up, and hopefully next year have quite a few people in the 80s. So we'll see. But let's take a look position by position. So looking at the quarterbacks, this one interesting right off the bat. We have Forrest Brock, we have Evan Simon, both juniors, both 75 overall, very similar speed. Evan Simon has the edge in acceleration, and looking through his stats, he's got the edge in a couple other rushing attributes like carrying and things like that. So I would say he's a slightly better rusher, but barely. And passing wise, it's pretty crazy. Like throw power, 91, 92. Accuracy, Forrest Brock has the edge slightly in short and medium accuracy. And Evan Simon has the edge in deep. So it's very interesting. Throw on the run, Evan Simon's got the edge. And then throw under pressure, Forrest Brock's got the edge. They each have slightly higher strengths. You can see there, yeah, ball carrier vision, juke moves, and spin moves. Evan Simon has actually a much larger edge there. And that's why I'm thinking we're going to start the season with Evan Simon. It's going to be something that there may be a QB battle though throughout the year, and even early on, heck, even like at halftime, if someone's having a bad game, maybe you swap them. But I think to start the season, we are going to swap them. I actually want to jump into the depth chart. So let's swap them right off the bat. Let's get Evan Simon. He's going to be our starting quarterback this year, at least to start. Looking at running backs, we have Joquez Smith, the sophomore. He's a 79 overall. He's got 89 speed. Unfortunately, no Temple running back at 90 speed. That may hurt a little bit. 93 acceleration is good. Only 79 carrying, which is interesting when you have someone like EJ Wilson at 94 carrying. Quite interesting, actually. Temple's got a very interesting roster, and definitely going to be some positional battles. We're definitely going to be seeing lots of substitutions. That's something I want to update, actually, is auto subs, so that we're not just having one running back, doing like 21 carries a game, and we have the second guy running ones. So, but we have some interesting options. I would say we have, to be honest, we have 4 decent options here. No great options. Joquez Smith here at the top has 2 physical traits, sidestep and 360. I don't know if you can look at those. Like, is there a way to see what those are? I don't think there is. But he's just a sophomore too, so building around him could be good. We also have Tyree Washington and EJ Wilson, and then Demarius Cruz as well as options. Just one senior, that's EJ Wilson. I don't think Temple is going to be using a fullback. I actually don't know what their formation is. I'll have to look at that. But we have a tight end at a London. And then looking at wide receivers, we've got 6 wide receivers above 70, but most of them are low 70s. So we did talk about Dante Wright already. He's the senior. He is just 5'9", but he's got some speed. It'll be interesting because he'll probably almost definitely be playing on the outside, but an outside receiver at 5'9" is a little bit scary. He's got the cutter trait, but I really do like him a lot with 92 speed, 93 acceleration, 92 agility, and then his route running, not too bad, mid-80s for short and medium route running. Honestly, looking at this though, he's got 78 deep route running. It's interesting because I kind of think he actually profiles better as a slot receiver with his 5'9" height, with his, he's quick, he's got 92 agility. But he also kind of has good downfield stats, so it'll be interesting. We'll see how it works here. He is the only, oh, I'm just kidding. There is 2 seniors in the 6, but number 2, we have Zay Baines. He's got 2 physical traits, layout and recoup. Quite a bit slower at 88 speed, but he is 6'3", 175. So he's actually called a deep threat here when you look at their tendencies. So he's somebody that we might have. Actually, he's definitely going to be on the outside. At 6'3" and a deep threat, he'll for sure be on the outside. His route running, 77 deep, an 80 release, 84 jump, not bad. We have John Adams, Xavier Irvin, as well as Ian Stewart and Antonio Jones. All these guys within 1 overall of each other. So this is going to be definitely another battle position to see who's going to be that third guy. We have 3 deep threats and 1 physical tendency. I don't know how you can be a deep threat with just 86 speed. You know, he's set to be 3rd right now. I almost kind of want like somebody else to just slot in right away. Like 93 acceleration, 89 speed. Let's look at their route running here. Yeah, they're all just so close. So yeah, this is going to be something we're going to monitor. I actually think I will put Xavier Irvin ahead of Adams to start. And it really feels like Dante Wright might be in our slot. It's a shame to have 92 speed in the slot, but his height and his tendencies, there's just really nobody else that fits that profile. And I wonder if we look at slot receiver, it's actually John Adams, who is that deep threat we talked about. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I may change that up. I'll leave it for now. Looking through some of these other positional groups, I don't want to make this episode too long, but I think it's interesting to look through, at least, you know, at a high level to see. We've got 3 solid tight ends, honestly. No seniors. Once again, 2 sophomores. We got Reese Clark and Peter Clark, the Clark boys, that are going to be starting. Looking at left tackle, we have a sophomore, Luke Watson, and honestly some good depth here at left tackle, which is good to see. 94 strength for Luke Watson. At left guard, that looks like is where Wisdom Quarshi will be starting, who is our number 1 in overall on the team. He's the senior. We talked about him. Then beyond him, we don't have much depth. That's probably a position we'll want to target. We're going to talk about recruiting later on in the episode here. So at center, we got actually a pretty solid sophomore center here. He's 77 overall, 90 strength, 83 pass block. How's the run block? 72 run block. I mean, that's pretty solid, I think, for a sophomore at Temple. I think we're pretty happy with that. And looking at right guard, we have Jackson Pruitt. He's a sophomore, 73 overall. He is okay. You know, nothing to write home about. 2 freshmen behind him as well. Clint Clements might be someone that sees some playing time at some point. Then right tackle, Diego Barajas, 72 overall. Another chance for a positional battle. Kevin Terry, the redshirt freshman. He is, again, profiles pretty similarly. Although Diego Barajas has got about 30 pounds on him. Yeah, the pass block power is pretty low for Barajas. He is an agile tendency versus pass protector tendency, but I think that has quite a few points. I almost think I like Terry better looking at this. Like his agility is a lot higher, but I think we're going to actually start the redshirt freshman there, Kevin Terry. All right, and then looking at left end and the defense here for Temple, their defense and offense are both rated the same. On the edge here, we got Trey Thomas. Is that just Trey probably? We're going to call him Trey until I'm corrected. So Trey Thomas, 6'4", 225, is speed rusher. I think, honestly, that he's looking pretty solid. He's a junior. And then looking at right end, we've got Cameron Stewart, a power rusher. So, I mean, that's kind of nice to have that balance on both sides. At D-tackle, we have, wow, we actually are very deep in D-tackle. We have 5 startable D-tackles here, all in the mid-70s, just one senior. So that's a position class we will not be looking too much into, I'm assuming. And when it comes to recruiting, that is. All right, and then linebackers. We've got DJ Woodbury Sr. On one side, a senior. Looking, they're actually all right outside linebackers playing left outside linebacker. I don't know how much that matters, but on the other side, Antoine Santiago and Jonathan Pettis, as well as Jordan Montgomery. So honestly, I'm not too impressed by this linebacker class. Once again, I don't know the formations we have. I probably should have looked at that, but I don't even know how many of these guys we're using. It'll be interesting to see. Then looking at middle linebacker, we've got Eric Stewart and TK Wright, both 74 overall, a junior and a sophomore. And one is a field general, one is a pass coverage tendency. I think we're going to stick with Stewart just to start, but again, another positional battle we can really look into. All right, let's move on to the secondary. So looking at cornerbacks, there is a bit of a drop off here, but your first 3, even really first 4 are, again, that like mid-70s range, which is where everybody on Temple seems to be. I guess it's okay, but you know, no real stars on the team. Could be a problem. I do like to see the high 80s and 90s in speed. Hopefully these guys can bump up to 90s eventually. And we have Jalen Lewis is actually our slot corner, which is probably fine. We have Torrey Richardson, a man-to-man, Jamel Johnson, a man-to-man corner, Ben Asuki as our zone corner, and then Daryl Sweeting as our man-to-man corner. So it really seems like Temple, we're going to be playing a lot of man-to-man, which I have not been doing a ton of on my other dynasties, but it seems like if that's their tendencies, we probably should be leaning into that. And I almost think I will consider Sweeting over Osuki, just because he profiles what we want to see, what we seem to want to do on defense. So I guess we'll see. All right, let's look at our safeties here. Free safety, we've got, again, 2 options. 85 speed is probably a little low, but Javier Morton, the hybrid free safety, seems like he's a solid guy here. He's a junior and 90 speed. I know speed isn't the only thing we should be looking at, but I don't know if I want my free safety to have 66 zone coverage, so we're probably sticking with Morton here. And then our strong safety, really no option. Well, that's a cornerback. So yeah, really no options here. We just have the senior Andreas Keaton. Lewis Fry, he's a junior. If he was a freshman, I'd feel better about him. But as a junior at 69, So yeah, I'm probably going to go with Keaton here at strong safety. And now let's look at special teams. We have Maddox Trujillo. Maddox Trujillo is our kicker. He's a senior, and he's got 93 kick power and 79 kick accuracy. Honestly, like pretty good. 93 kick power is obviously excellent. 79 accuracy is okay. Could be better, but I think he'll be for sure doable, like usable, absolutely. And then looking at punter, we have a sophomore punter, Dante Atten, just 65 overall, 86 kick power, 69 accuracy. Hopefully we're not doing too much punting, but not impressed. And then as our kick returner, we currently have Xavier Irwin. He's one of our receivers we talked about. Actually, all of our receivers are possible kick returners. He's a 92 modified overall at kick returner, 89 speed, but 93 acceleration. I think we'll leave him. He's just a 92 kick returner, so I think we'll leave him there for now. Our punt returner, we have Dante Wright, currently 96 overall punt returner. I do sometimes not like putting in my star receiver as a punt returner, just because if he gets injured, obviously bad. So I may put Irvin in, but I think for now we'll leave Dante Wright. Kickoffs, we'll leave to Trujillo. Long snapper, I almost never change. Seems fine. Our third down running back right now is Joquez Smith, which is probably fine. Looks like he's best suited for it. And then our power back is Tyree Washington. That makes sense to me. I think his strength, his 76 strength, 80 break tackle. I guess debatably it could be EJ Wilson. I kind of actually like Wilson more at 6'0", 210. They're actually very similar profiles. Trucking, he's a little bit better. So maybe EJ Wilson is our power back. We don't really have a power back is the thing, but he'll do. And then here's slot receiver. We talked about this earlier. Do we want Dante Wright in there? Man, I think no, to be quite honest, to start the season, but we'll see how it goes because we may need to move him in the slot. John Adams has 79 catching traffic, 83 catching, which 82 short route running, 79 medium, which is pretty good for slot type routes. So I think we'll leave him for now. I'm going to leave this stuff. I may go back and tweak this depending on what our formations look like. I'm probably going to leave the playbook as is to start, but we may need to go back and change things either later this season or next. So that's the team. Let me know what you guys think of the initial starting roster for the Temple Owls. I think really my takeaways are lots of positional battles. So it's going to be something we keep our eye on. And no real star power, lots of just mid-range, mid-70s guys. So we're going to have to see who stands out and who's the playmakers on this team. And just so I don't have to leave you guys guessing, we are going to be running a base 3-4 defense with Willie Franklin this year. Our offensive playbook is the Temple spread, so running a lot, basically everything out of the shotgun. So the last thing I do want to talk about in this opening episode is recruiting. Recruiting is obviously a huge part of this game. It's going to be a huge part of this series. We may dabble in the transfer portal, but I don't think we'll have a ton of folks, excited to transfer to Temple, at least not right away. So we're going to be focusing hard on recruiting. Now, I did mention we only have 12 seniors, just 5 on offense. So we probably don't need a ton, really. You can see we need just one here and there, 2 running backs. It says we need a fullback, but I don't think we are out of the shotgun like 95% of the time, so probably no fullback. This actually could be a boring recruiting class of guards and tackles on offense. Maybe a couple running backs, but yeah, with 10 receivers and only 2 seniors, probably don't need to be doing that. On defense, we have linebackers is one of the things I noticed. Linebackers and guards are our main targets, I think. Get a cornerback or 2. And it says we need 3 strong safeties. I did notice we had very few. So I think our main focuses are going to be offensive guard, outside linebackers, strong safeties, and then that really is going to be it. And we do need a kicker, actually, for sure. We will not have one if we don't get one. So kicker is important as well. On offense, it's really guard. I guess running back as well. But we do have a sophomore that's 77 overall, a junior at 74 overall, a sophomore at 72 overall. So really we have 3 good starting options next year unless they transfer. And yeah, I mean, other than that, I'm not too worried. I guess running back is probably our 5th option. But my plan is to go through the board and add people to the board, and then we'll kind of walk through them after that. I don't want to spend too much time looking through every single player. So I'm going to do that, and then I will come back and we'll chat about it. All right, so we've got our recruiting board set up with our first 35 targets. I tried to stick to those positions we talked about, but added a few things in here and there. I also tried to touch on the highest possible caliber prospects we could get. I have a few 1-stars in there, just mainly out of necessity. We'll see later on why, but I tried to get those 3 2-stars, and surprisingly, look at the top of the list here. 4-star recruit Max Dugan, number 399 in the nation, 7th overall left outside linebacker, and he is right now number 1 interest in Temple. He's a power rusher, 6'2", 244, and we're going to be scouting him first. Here at Temple, we get 500 hours, so it's not a lot, but let's go ahead and scout him. I'm going to probably fully scout him, honestly. And he is a gem. I was worried he was going to be a bust, but look at that. We have our number 1 target, ladies and gentlemen. He's got road dog and fan favorite mentals. He's got the quick jump ability. He's got 88 acceleration, 84 speed, 81 power moves. This is a guy we want. We're going to go ahead and offer a scholarship immediately. I don't know if I'm going to talk about everyone, but we'll definitely talk about different position groups that we mentioned earlier. But yeah, Max Dugan is definitely someone we're interested in. We're going to find out his interests later on, but he's a guy that could come in and be a day 1 starter. All right, so we talked about halfback as a position we wanted to target. It's not one that we necessarily need. It's probably our 5th most important position group, but it's something I wanted to get a couple guys on the board for. So we got Sony Savoy, Neil Bunch, and Artie Adams. Unfortunately, a lot of the halfbacks that were available were power rush or power backs. So that's really not going to fit in too well with our scheme unless we wanted to switch up the scheme a lot, which I'm not planning on doing. I'll probably go back and scout some of these guys and we can talk about them later when I find, once we go through everything else. So that's halfbacks. All right, so on to guards. We have 5 guards listed here, all 3-star recruits actually. We have Garrett McTire, Philip Okoro, Clint McBriar, Steve Kalu, and Dennis McKay. And we've got agile, pass protector, agile, and power. Really, I saw that they were 3-stars and they had at least top 8 interests. That's why I grabbed them. So we're definitely going to be scouting these guys to see which ones we want. I would love to get at least one of them, honestly. I think for guards, we need, this is 1 left guard and 2 right guards. These guys are mostly right guards, but I think you could swap them around pretty easily. So that's our guards. I think there's some definitely interesting options here. And onto the defensive side of the ball, we have our outside linebackers. We already talked about the exciting prospect Max Dugan, but we've got, I think, 7 or 8 linebackers here, and quite a few that I'm interested in. So we've got Dugan, we talked about. We have Oscar Jones, a run stopper. He's 4th in interest. We actually have Conrad McLaughlin, who's 1st in interest for us right now. Just 1 star, though. We'll be recruiting all these guys as outside linebacker is a huge position for us. We need 2 left outside linebackers. It says 0 right outside linebackers, but I think the ones we have aren't necessarily great. So someone like Max Dugan, like I said, could be a day 1 starter. We're going to be looking at him and some of these other guys down the list. Another position group I want to shout out really quick here is cornerback. It is not one that I talked about earlier, but it's one that I want to look at. Looking at our needs, it says we need 1 cornerback. We have 2 graduating, so it's probably good to grab 1. And we have 3 3-star guys here that are in our top 5 interests. So I think 2 of them are man-to-man, 1 is slot, so they'll fit into our scheme well. And we're definitely going to be looking to grab 1 of them. Sticking to the secondary, we have safeties. We definitely need a strong safety. We don't necessarily need a free safety, I believe, but You'll see in a second, the strong safety prospects are bare bones. So we have Devian Peel here. He's a free safety, and I think we could transition him over to strong safety. He's a 10 run support tendency. Let's actually scout him right away here. So looking right away, his zone coverage seems pretty low. His man coverage seems pretty low, but his agility, his hit power, his tackle and speed are very high. He almost projects to play like a linebacker. 86 acceleration. Yeah, 65 zone coverage is scary. He does have a gem. We are 2 for 2, and he's a guy that I am definitely interested in. As a run support safety, I really think he, like looking at his attributes, I think he just plays like a strong safety. I'd rather have him there. I am terrified of that 57 man coverage and 65 zone coverage. Hopefully things as a freshman he could improve upon. Probably not a guy you'll slot in day one, but someone we're definitely going to be interested in. We'll offer him a scholarship right away as well. And not stopping there with safety, you can look at our beautiful 1-star scouts. This is the best we had, trust me. I guess we could pick up some guys that aren't interested, but I usually like to pick, maybe I'm doing this wrong, but I like to pick guys that have at least some interest in us so we have a shot. I don't want to waste all my time on someone that has zero interest in us, and I have to go up against Clemson and Ohio State and Georgia and these other schools. So we have some 1-star guys. I'm really hoping we get Peel now, but maybe we get another one of these guys as insurance as well. We'll see how they are. And then last but not least, you can't forget special teams. We have a senior kicker, so we're going to have to replace him. We have 2 power tendency kickers, 2 accuracy tendency kickers, all in the top 8 of interest. Ty Lincoln is the 2-star. We have Josh John. The man's got 2 first names. He is our other accurate kicker. And then Tyler Scioli and Nick Feeney, who are 3-star kickers. We're really gonna be going after a kicker because I don't want to have to settle for a walk-on kicker and be giving up points left and right. So I think now the plan is I'm going to spend some time putting points into guys. We'll go back and talk about them after I've scouted and maybe offered scholarships. So we are now out of hours for recruiting. Let's talk about what we came across. Starting off, Neil Bunch was the first running back and actually only running back that was scouted. I didn't really love his skill set. He's a receiving back tendency. He's got 70 catching, just 86 speed, 83 change of directions, okay. 89 accelerations, okay. But I feel like, 69 short route, 70 catching as a receiving back. It's a skill set we would like to have. I just would like for it to be better. So nothing too interesting there. Moving on to guard, we did scout 2 and actually offered 2 scholarships. Garrett McTire here, I liked his just overall stats. His 91 strength is obviously incredible, 87 impact blocking, and good finesse blocking. Those mid 70 ranges is fine for a freshman. I think he would come in and be useful early on. And Okoro as well, he's actually a pass protector tendency, and you see he has really good pass blocking. Pass block power of 78 and pass block finesse is 74 with good impact blocking. Not as strong. I really like that 91 strength on McTire. That's really good to see. But both guys that I think would be solid additions. We're going to probably end up scouting these guys next week, but didn't have the points to do it now. Moving on to outside linebacker, we obviously have Max Dugan, which is number 1 on our priority list. I do need to set up my priority list for everyone, but looking at Oscar Jones, he's okay. I think I wasn't impressed right away, but I probably was just comparing him to Dugan. But I think as a second option, he probably is fine. He's got 79 pursuit, some good strength and acceleration. He's got a good balance between speed and power, and I think that's actually probably good for us. So he's somebody, you know what? Looking at him again, let's go ahead and offer a scholarship. We can't, never mind. But yeah, he's somebody that I do want on my list for sure. We also looked at Jermaine Clay. He was our first bust or non-gent, whatever you want to call it. But he's a run stopper. And honestly, looking at his stats, it's not terrible. I just think we probably would go for Jones over him. Then looking at cornerback, again, a position group we weren't necessarily super invested in, but we found 2 good guys and offered them scholarships. Kevin Allen, we found Matt DeGear, and I was impressed with his 88 speed, 87 acceleration. As a freshman, I think that's really solid. And then 72 man coverage. I think those are great for a freshman coming in, maybe not starting right away, but someone you can build around. Well, then I saw Kevin Allen. He's got a gem, and he's basically the improved version with slightly better speed, slightly better change of direction, the same man coverage. But actually, looking at this, DeGear has better agility, a lot better press. They're pretty even, honestly. Kevin Allen better catching. So honestly, if I could get either one or both, I'd be pretty happy there. And finally, we've got kicker. I did run out of points after looking at Nick Feeney, who was, according to scouting, a bust. But looking at his stats, 91 kick power is honestly really good for a freshman, especially. And 76 kick accuracy. I want to say our kicker had 79 with like a 92 kick power. So this guy is basically replacing our senior kicker with the same stats. The only concern I see here is 55 awareness. I don't know what a good awareness would be. I started to look at Tyler Scioli, who his awareness seems to be around there too, with maybe a better kick accuracy. We'll see. But I'm honestly interested in Feeney still, regardless of that bust status. So yeah, that's our recruiting to start. We're going to have to take a look at overall how we want to line these guys up. Honestly, this is a good start, but we're gonna have to find the other guys, and we have a lot to do in terms of recruiting. It's hard with only 500 hours, and as a Temple recruiter, you don't get a ton of hours. So we'll do the best we can. But that's going to wrap up our week 0. Actually, this is preseason. Next week is week 0. But I hope you guys have enjoyed watching. If you made it this far, please consider giving the video a like. If you're interested in seeing more Temple Owls football in the future, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We'll definitely be coming out with videos, hopefully at a somewhat reasonably consistent cadence. I'm going to do my best to come out with these as fast as possible, but I am new at this, so editing things and creating thumbnails and all that is a new process for me, so doing the best I can there. But guys, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it, and I will hope to see you in the next episode. Goodbye for now, and have a great day.